Hey everyone, this is Norm Farrar, aka the Beard Guy here, and welcome to another Lunch with Norm, the e-commerce and Amazon FBA podcast. Today we are going to be discussing how business can use AI to drive growth and innovation. We'll also be discussing about how to boost your sales conversion with on-demand insights, how you can stay ahead of the competition, and how to enhance your existing offerings with new features and valuable business insights. Welcome, everybody, to another Lunch with Norm, the e-commerce and Amazon FBA podcast.
Lunch with Norm. Lunch with Norm. Lunch with Norm. Lunch with Norm.
Okay, where is the boy blunder?
All right, you're changing things up a little bit.
I am. Today, one of those days. But you're going to talk for a second. I'm going to just mute myself and try to get this headset going.
All right. So, welcome everyone to Lunch with Norm. We got a great crowd joining us already. Hello, Steve, DripFit, Rad, Michelle and Howie, and Howard. We got a great crowd. Good to see everyone. Today is an AI episode, so make sure you get your questions and comments over in the comment sections. We're trying to do an AI episode every Wednesday. So hope you enjoy, and please let us know if there's any questions in the comments. Norm is going to be here. Norm, can you give a thumbs up if you're good to go? All right, there's Norm. He's back in action.
So I just got okay, we talked about this before we came on, right? I have an Uber Eats that was supposed to be here about an hour ago. It's running an hour and 20 minutes late, and it's because of my Coke Zero, because I hate drinking Pepsi, and so that's the only reason. I know. I do that.
You know
what?
About 5 minutes ago, our guest Shanif, he was like, "You guys, wow, your podcast is so polished and nice. It's great." And and the last 5 minutes, I don't know. We'll get his opinion in about 5 minutes.
If I have to run to the door, you're going to take over from me, boy blunder.
Of course. I think you're the mayor today. But anyways, make sure you smash those like buttons. Give us a thumbs up if you're enjoying today's podcast already. And join our Facebook group. It's Lunch with Norm, the Amazon FBA and e-commerce collective. Links are in the description. And Norm, do you want to give our guest the intro?
Yeah, but before I do that, I just want to mention that I am in Eatontown, New Jersey today. So if anybody is in the area and wants to head over to the event tonight, Kevin King's going to be doing a live event, and it'll be really good. He's just flying in now. That's why I'm adding and getting all these Coke Zeros ready for when he comes, because he's a Pepsi hater as well. Sorry, Pepsi, but. I'm not sure exactly you're going to have all the information here, Kels. So just put up the link, and we do have some free tickets as well as if you want to come. So if you're in the New York, New Jersey area and you want to head over to an event tonight at, I think it's 5 or 6, but all the information will be there. The other thing we should talk about, you had something you said that we had to talk about before we get to the guest.
Yes, the online seller event from Post Purchase Pro.
Oh, yeah. So you want to talk about it? You have all the information. I just logged in, remember? I just logged in.
Okay, well, we have an event from Post Purchase Pro called the Online Seller Event. So you can get all the information in the link below. But check it out. They usually put on several events a year, and I'm sure there'll be great information going out with them from Seth and Sean. So check it out. And from Tuyen, so glad Kelsey is back. Last time Nora kept messing up. Just kidding. Sounds about right.
You're right. I always mess up. That's why you guys watch the show. It's like a NASCAR race, right? You want to see the accidents. Okay, yeah. So, and I do provide lots of bloopers. So why don't we just get into it then? If you have any questions or comments, throw it over in the comments section, and sit back, relax, grab a cup of coffee. Unfortunately, I have just the Pepsi today, but welcome our guest. How are you, Shanif? Where are you? There you are. How are you?
Hello, hello, hello. I am good. I'm good. I'm actually in New York myself, but in Midtown Manhattan. So I'm doing well. Thanks for having me
Oh,
back here.
lucky. Now, you know what? I should have given you a formal introduction, but my mind is everywhere today. I couldn't log in. Like, it's just a typical travel. You can't log into this. I couldn't get the information I needed. But let me give you a better introduction. Our guest is the founder of Lacusive, and I hope I say that right. If I say it wrong, just correct me. He's also an AI and ChatGPT consultant with a software development and data science background. He currently helps businesses understand and build systems that connect their internal and proprietary systems to ChatGPT. So our guest is Shanif Dhanani. I hope I said that right, right? Did I say it right?
You got it.
Where are you? All right, perfect. So you're in
I'm here.
Midtown.
Yep.
That's awesome. Geez, I wish I would have known. I would have popped over last night and we could have gone over for dinner or something. But I don't usually get down here that often. I live, by
I
the
was
way,
talking to Kelsey. Oh,
yeah,
good.
I live in a 9 restaurant town, and 3 of the
Oh,
restaurants are pizza chains. So whenever I can get away, I unleash myself food wise.
I think that's the right way to do it. There's some good food down here for sure. So maybe
Just
next
just a
time.
bit, right?
Yep.
uh, okay, let's talk AI. Let's talk about what you're doing. Uh, what are you seeing as a consultant right now?
uh, it's the craziest time that I've seen. I've been working in AI for about 10 years, and it's always been hyped, but it's never been this crazy or this hyped. There's a lot of excitement. There's a lot of fear from some CEOs who are trying to figure out how to use it and are worried that they're not going to be able to figure it out. There's a lot of people who are rushing to implement AI, sometimes maybe a little bit haphazardly, and so tons and tons of activity. It's been an exciting past, I would say, 7, 8 months.
Yeah, it's really been since January. All of a sudden, like AI's been around for quite a long time. Like you said, you've been in the game for 10 years, but since January, it's all about ChatGPT. Do you see how it writes
Yeah.
poems? You know, right, it writes poems. So I think we're a little bit beyond that, but that's actually how I was introduced to it. By the way, I got it. You got to check this out. Watch, type this in, and it'll write a poem. But you can use it for a lot more than that. And we've been using it a lot, and I think we were one of the earlier, at least, services that we're providing. Uh, you have an Amazon product. We would summarize, and this is just for us internally, but we could summarize the listing very easily, and then we could build out a script, mold it a little bit, but for all the social media platforms. And all we would have to do is just go on there and start talking. But now it's advanced even so much further, with what you can do. But maybe we'll talk a bit more of that a little bit later on. But why don't we talk about boosting sales conversions? Okay, you've got AI now. You can boost sales conversions with on-demand information and insights. So let's start talking about some of these insights.
Well, I've mostly been working in the world where you're able to use Gen AI, generative AI, for like really personalizing how you can use it for your business. So, for example, like a lot of folks might be wanting to use it with their own data. Maybe I worked recently with one SaaS provider. He actually works a lot with e-commerce stores, and they took a lot of information from product reviews and they use AI to categorize and provide dashboards. And so that's one way you could do it, is like if you've got a lot of free form text, or if you've got a lot of, let's say, reviews or whatever it is, you can actually start to use AI to summarize this information and provide insights about what people are buying. Or let's say you've got a bunch of good reviews. What are the commonalities between that, or bad reviews? And so that's one way. Another way that I've sort of found kind of interesting for the world of e-commerce is using AI to optimize your product descriptions and names. So what you can do is you can take a few of the best reviews that you've got. People gave you 5 stars, maybe some of your best customers. Go take a look at what they're saying in their reviews and use AI to come up with maybe an A/B test for your existing headline versus something that AI comes up with, which is like an optimized version of a product description. And so there's all sorts of things you can do One of the hard parts is just making sure it works with your products, with your data. There's a few ways that that I've seen that can help with that. But ultimately, if you're a seller, there's conversion rates on site which help. There are post purchase things you can do for analytics. There's even landing page optimizations you can do, and I've been using it a lot for SEO as well. So
I love that,
I
by the
could
way.
probably, I could talk your ear off, but I'll pause here
No,
and see if
keep
any of these are
talking.
more interesting.
I'm waiting for Uber Eats.
Fair enough. One of the areas I've really used AI myself is in SEO, actually, and something like this would work really well for sellers. Before, I would say when AI really got big back in, let's say, February or March, I had started to try to use it for content generation, whether that was long form content or social media or whatever it is. And at that time, it just was not it was not good. And it's still not amazing. But as time has gone on, the folks who have been developing these AI tools like OpenAI for ChatGPT or Anthropic for Claude, which I'll talk about in a second, have done a really good job of making AI produce better content that maybe doesn't sound as robotic or as salesy. But there's a way you can use these tools to make even better hyper-personalized, hyper-optimized SEO pages. And the way I do it is I basically use ChatGPT with a web-based plugin or a search plugin to go and basically target a keyword. I find my 5 competitor articles online, the guys who are doing the best on Google. I ask ChatGPT to come up with an outline for them. And then I ask ChatGPT, hey, here's my company. Go read about it. Go learn about it. Summarize what you learn. Now, combine all 5 articles with what you know about my company to come up with an outline for my own SEO page. Then I'll take all that information and I'll actually use it to go to Claude, another competitor to ChatGPT, and start writing section by section. So essentially what I'm talking about here is the ability to create a long form SEO optimized page in, let's say, a couple of hours versus maybe a day and a half or 2 days, which it might have taken you before, or certainly took me before.
Yeah, I know that we write a lot of content, and we use I don't know if have you heard of Phrase?
I haven't. There's a lot of tools out there, but Phrase is new to me.
Phrase was I think out before Jasper, and there was a difference in it though. Phrase, what they did is kind of like the Answer the Public for blog articles. So you would type in your keyword, and it would give you this what's it called? It's not a flow chart. It's like a mind map. But every question or every answer that you could have with this keyword would come out there. But the difference between Answer the Public and Phrase is it would be the most relevant blog article. So you could ask it to go summarize the top 6, and then I could give it to my writer and they could put it together. But now what you could do is you could take those 6, compare them, and come out with the best ranking blog article out there for long form content. But this is something that you have to be very careful that you read, because I've caught so much crap out there that it could have been ranking from 2016. But it's just, and I think that's with everything that you get ChatGPT to do. You have to read it over, or you could get stuck looking like an idiot. Am I allowed to say idiot? They told me I couldn't say things like that before.
I'm old school. That seems like a very reasonable word to me.
Perfect.
That's totally fine. But you're right, Norm. One of the biggest things I help businesses avoid is there's this term for ChatGPT making stuff up from scratch. It's called hallucinations. So I help businesses avoid these hallucinations by allowing them to plug in their trusted knowledge base and their trusted sources so that they can go in and make sure that ChatGPT doesn't make anything up. But you're right, you got to read it afterwards. And a lot of times, even if it's factually correct, it sounds terrible. So you got to go in and update its voice and its tone. But I will say it makes life a lot easier to have a tool like this than a year or 2 ago where we were not able to generate these things from scratch. So it's just a matter of learning how to use these tools optimally.
Now, one of the questions, here she is. I've arrived. Great. Delivered to the room. I need a pin. Oh, God damn
it. It's always rough when you get and
Well,
Uber
she's an
Eats
hour
or
and a half
Schma's like
late.
an hour and a half late. Yep. Yep.
So, okay, one of the things, especially when you're talking about AI and prompting, I've learned this, and it's just been it was like, oh, the stress is off my back. But understanding tone, but understanding how to edit. And I'd always go, like, I'd always, if I see it wasn't written right, I would just start typing away again. But you can go back and you can just edit a line, and it's not a big deal. You don't have to go back and reprompt. And the way that I really like doing it, if it comes out absolutely ridiculous, I'll just go back to the original prompt and just click it, and then all of a sudden you can go in and edit. I didn't realize that for up until a few months ago, and it's so easy to do. If you're not doing it, I mean, it's, start doing it. You know what I'm talking about, right?
I think so. I generally do this when I put in something that's so long it can't process it, and it says, please try again. So I'll go back to the top, I'll click that little edit icon,
Yeah.
and then I'll update it to remove. But I actually didn't know you could do it for messages that had worked out well, but that's good to know. And it is easy and simple. Once you know, you can do it.
Yeah, and even just going back, and here's another one. This is just a couple of things. The dot dot dot. Do you have you ever used the dot dot
I'm-
dot?
I maybe not. Maybe not. Which maybe you can tell me what feature you're talking
Okay,
about.
so the dot dot dot. Usually that just means ongoing, right?
Yeah.
But with the dot dot dot, that just says, "Hey, prompt, don't give me all your crap. Just answer the question, but don't run on."
So you
So it
typed it
gives you a
in. You
very
typed the 3 dots.
Yeah, it gives you a very specific answer rather than running on. So, and at least for me with prompting, a lot of the times, oh, here we go, just a sec. I believe you'll hear a knock on my door in a second. But one of the things that I like doing too is just asking it first if it can do it, and not in a run-on way, just yes or no, and then I know that it understands. It understands, what you're asking it to do. One of the biggest things that I've found, if I don't like the way that it's answering, I'll go back and I'll ask it to, can you answer it? Or first of all, I'll say somebody like Perry Belcher, Jason Fladlin, somebody like a copywriter, Mark DeGrasse. Do you know Scott Cunningham? Yes, I know Scott Cunningham. Do you know his TBIF marketing campaigns? Yes, I do. Please restate, and like I'll talk about the prompt that it just screwed up in the format of how Scott Cunningham would write it. And all of a sudden it just takes it and writes it, and it's completely different. If I say, write it like Perry Belcher, very, very well known guy in the business, or anybody who's really well known in the business, and they have specific writing styles. Neil Patel. Same thing. If you're writing a long form content, I don't know about you, but that's saved me a ton of time as well.
That's really interesting. I've never liked how these things sound when you don't give them instructions for how they should speak
Yeah.
or how they should write. Like it just sounds so salesy and so cringeworthy. So that's a really good tactic to know. One thing I do is I will give it examples of my own previous writing and have it learn my own writing style, and then essentially save that style and then recreate it for whatever new content I want to write next. And so I'm not as famous as these Belcher or Neil Patel, but what you can do is give it examples of what you've done in the past and have it learn there. And so that's also a good way to get it to sound less robotic and less sort of nonsense and sound more like a human being.
So originally with ChatGPT, with ChatGPT, you couldn't get it to reference anything. Now you can go and you can upload with the data analyzer. Now it used to be code interpreter, but is that how you're getting it to reference these articles? You're just uploading them there?
I do something a little bit different. So, for those folks who don't know what you're talking about, there's this plugin, Advanced Data Analytics on ChatGPT. That's really meant to do things like analyze data like a CSV file. What I've done, so a lot of businesses have said, hey, this ChatGPT doesn't know about my business. So I've created new software that essentially allows them to set the documents in the knowledge base that they want ChatGPT to have access to. And then they use my tools to automatically provide pieces of those documents when they're talking to ChatGPT. This way you can ask a question and it'll answer based on the information from your internal documents or your FAQs or even your databases or data sets, rather than just guessing. So this took a little bit of work. My background is as a software developer. And so I basically created new tools that let ChatGPT access your documents rather than making things up. And so that's how I work with businesses to make sure that they can use their data with ChatGPT a little bit better.
So can you break that down?
Yeah, mostly. So basically, if you think about how folks are using my tools today, there's two things that they can do. One, they can chat with it with a chatbot. They can use a chatbot to basically talk to ChatGPT, or they can use an API. That's a little bit more technical, so I'll just talk about the bot.
Mhm.
You've probably heard of Slack, I'm guessing.
Sure.
It's that app. Yep. So we built a bot that sits in your Slack workspace. Now, what you can do is you can connect that bot to, let's say, Google Drive, where you've got a whole bunch of FAQ documents or PDFs, or you can connect it to Google Sheets, where you've got a whole bunch of data, or you can connect it to your Salesforce account or Gmail or Notion or whatever it is that you think will contain information that you want to use in the future when you're talking to ChatGPT. Then once you've connected those things, you can just start talking to the bot. And what happens is if you've got a question, the bot will look up the right pieces of information or what it thinks could be helpful pieces of information from your whole knowledge base. And it'll say to ChatGPT, hey, I've got this question for you. Here's, let's say, 5 or 6 paragraphs of information or 30 rows from a Google Sheet or information from the Salesforce API that might be able to answer this question. Please use this and give me my final answer. And if you can't, just say you don't know. And so this thing that I've built, this chatbot, does all this in the background. So you as a user, you just have to ask your question. And if that information is in your documents somewhere, it'll provide an answer. I've also added the ability to search the web. So if it's not in your documents, but you want to do a search, it'll go out and find your information there. And so it's basically a way for you as a business to make sure ChatGPT isn't making something up. It's something that says, well, hey, who's the founder of Lunch with Norm? Oh, well, it's Bill Clinton, right? Like ChatGPT has the ability to do something like that. But if you connect it to the right data, it's not going to do that. So my tools are just connecting your chatbots to your data in the background. Does that help? Hopefully it was a little bit more clear.
Yeah, it does. No, I've got it. And one of the other things I want to talk about, there's a bunch of different questions, but just people using plugins. You said a plugin, and
Yeah.
There's some people that might not know what we're talking about. And there are so many incredible plugins that you can use right now. Do you want to talk about that and maybe some of your favorites?
Plugins, yeah. So for those of you who are, are kind of clueless about what we're talking about, if you pay for ChatGPT Plus, you have the ability to essentially toggle on these third-party sort of plugins, these tools that can help you on ChatGPT's website as you're talking to ChatGPT. These can be anything from allowing ChatGPT to access one of your Google Docs, to browsing the web, to making a reservation using OpenTable. Different companies can create plugins for ChatGPT. And so it's a really easy way for you to to basically accomplish what some of my tools let you do, which is incorporating your own information, your own data, your own apps while you use ChatGPT. One of my favorites is this tool called Web Pilot. And the reason, it's basically what it lets ChatGPT do is it gives it access to the internet so that it can go and download content from different web pages. And the reason I like Web Pilot is because it makes it easy for me to do what I said earlier, which was once I've got a keyword that I want to target, I can tell ChatGPT to go find the 5 top ranking articles for that keyword and summarize them and learn from them. And without a tool or a plugin that would have let ChatGPT access the internet, it wouldn't have known how. So Web Pilot's one of my favorite ones. I've tried a couple of others. I'm still sort of evaluating some of them. Web Pilot's definitely the best one I've used. But what's interesting is it's not a plugin, but it was just rolled out to ChatGPT Plus users. The ability to use DALL-E, which is an image generator, which is really cool. and advanced code interpreter, which used to be called, I think it used to be a plugin, but now they've made it part of ChatGPT, which lets you upload data and ask questions of that data. So those are some of the ones I've been using today. I would definitely urge you to try them out if you need any of these features as you use ChatGPT.
Have you heard about the beta rollout of the photo analyzer?
No, that's new. That's news to me. They're rolling out so much stuff so quickly these days. I just got DALL-E myself.
Yeah, no. I saw that. I just saw it in my suite now. But you can get, and they're rolling this out. So some people are getting it before others. But it'll tell you exactly what's in the picture. It'll describe it to you, and I thought that was pretty cool. Not sure where they're going to go with that, but the other ones that I like, I do a lot of presentations, and you can get, and all you have to do is if you're in ChatGPT 4, so it has to be plus. No, sorry,
Yeah.
just has to be plus. When you go into ChatGPT 4, you can go down to plugins, click on the plugins, and there's hundreds, if not thousands of them. But I just typed in presentation, and there's about 3 or 4 there, and I can get a half decent, like a pretty good presentation from the slides that I can just do like that. And I'll have graphics, and I thought that was pretty impressive. Now, it's not 100%. They're fairly basic, but I thought that was cool. And the other one, I talked about it on the podcast the other day, which I really like because I'm not really that great with automation, is Zapier. Now I am.
Yeah.
I can tell it exactly what I want it to do, and it will create the zap for me, which will be a huge time saver. But if anybody's listening right now and you have a favorite plugin, or you have a question about ChatGPT or AI in general, let us know. Give us a comment. Is it working for you or does it suck? There's so many things out there. What's your favorite plugin right now, or your app? Love to hear from you. And we are at the bottom of the hour. And I should be, Kelsey, if you want to come on for a sec, there is a giveaway today, right?
Oh.
That's
Yes,
yeah, that's you.
There is a giveaway. Shanif, if you want to let everyone know what the giveaway is.
Yeah, I've done a lot of business consultations. Normally I charge for them. So I'm just offering, 30 minutes to an hour for free consultation for you specifically, how you can use your data with ChatGPT and giving you a sense for exactly how to incorporate it into your business. So free consultation for anyone who's interested in learning a little bit more about how to use it for themselves.
That's fantastic. And Kels, we're going to, put our name in under mystery names for that one as well. Okay, everybody. So why don't we just go over to a sponsor, and we'll be right back.
Facing cash flow challenges with your e-commerce business? Discover Viably, your ultimate financial ally. From real-time sales data integrations to immediate funding access, Viably is here to support you. Plan your growth with their free tool for online sellers and engage with specialists whenever you need. Extend your cash flow with Viably.
I was looking at your site just a few minutes before we came on, and I'm just kind of curious about what your company does.
Oops, I think I might have lost you for a second. I cut out when you said, "What's your?"
Okay, no problem. So just before we got on, I went over and I took a look at your company, or just as we were talking, I wanted to get a feel for it. Can you give us a little bit of information about the company?
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you asking. We essentially do two things. One, we build custom software, so custom consulting services and software services for people who want to connect their data to ChatGPT. That could look like anything. It could look like a Slack bot or a job to get your data from one database to another and transform it. So custom services. And then what we also offer is a product or two products that make it easy for you to do that yourself. One is a chatbot, like I was mentioning, which connects into your data sources and just lets you do things like research or Q&A. And the other is an API that lets you do things like looking up your data, searching it. So you can use that if you want to build your own chatbot. So really just trying to dive deeper into the world of helping businesses use their own internal data with ChatGPT and other tools like this, so they can make the most of it.
And that's going to be the standard down the line, isn't it?
Oh yeah, I imagine a world where like everybody's got a super personalized customer success bot or support bot on their website. I also imagine a world where you've got these systems and tools that can do things for you automatically. Everything from, hey, take these meeting notes for me and then email them out to everybody and then follow up with a calendar invite for a separate meeting. These are sort of what's called autonomous agents. This is the way that the world is moving. Everything's going to be automated. Everything's going to be sort of intelligently. You can handle your tasks intelligently, and you're going to be able to get really hyper personalized, hyper relevant information online anywhere. And I think that that's really exciting. That's one of the reasons I really wanted to dive into Locusive and start building in this space.
This gets me a little bit nervous. I'm not the youngest guy in the room, and I look at how my parents use a cell phone right now, and they still can't use FaceTime because they can't push the bloody button. I'm worried about where am I going to be, in this whole AI thing. It's scary how fast it's going, and man, I've got to use my head again.
It's funny. I did a talk the other day for high school students. So even young kids are trying to figure out like, hey, are we going to be out of a job before we even graduate? There's a lot of uncertainty right now. There's a lot of confusion about, is this stuff actually going to help us or hurt us? This is definitely one of the most sophisticated things that has become widely available. And so I'm not going to say, hey, I don't think there are risks. But I am an optimist. I'm a technologist and an optimist. And I always see how technology can make life better. And so I suspect that people are going to be able to do their jobs a little bit easier. And maybe there will be a few jobs that are lost. I think it's possible that companies might start to use AI for other things, but I suspect AI is going to make your job easier. It's going to make it less difficult for you to try to think and a little bit easier for you to get what you need. Now, I might be totally clueless and I might just have my rose-colored glasses on, but I suspect that life will be better going forward with these tools.
Do you know Jeffrey Moore?
I don't think I've heard the name, unfortunately.
Check his books out. One is called Crossing the Chasm, and the other one was something Tornado. Anyways, it's talking about like right now with AI, we're in the chasm. Colin Campbell was talking about this on the podcast the other day, that this is where the innovators are. And a lot of the time, the innovators fall out because there's just not enough money behind them for like these companies fall out because there's not enough of the people that see the innovation to put money into it. And then when you get to the tornado, that's when everybody, all the followers come in, about 80%. And anyways, he was just talking. It was very interesting to hear what he has to say about AI, where we're at, where many of the apps are not going to succeed, because they have the early adapters there, but that doesn't give them enough money or subscriptions to keep the money going unless they get seed money, and then they can do what they want. But if you see those two books, they talk about technology. Jeffrey Moore, and really interesting guy. I read his book on what was it? Something Tornado back when I was back in 95 or in around there. And then he wrote this one called Crossing the Chasm. And these are two must reads if you're in tech. And, they're 20, 30 years old, but they make complete sense.
Interesting. Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about, how can sellers unlock the power of their internal data? So we just touched on it with your chat bots and being able to get it to relate to it. Is there anything else that you could talk about?
Yeah, it's funny. Last time we had chatted, I was running a company that was using more of like the traditional AI, so predicting what customers are going to do next, or using your data to understand what people are buying. What's interesting, what really strikes me about sellers is they've got all this information about their customers, and sometimes it just sits in an email list that gets used once a month. So there's a lot of really interesting things. I have a bias, I think, towards retention and upselling to your existing customers, and so there's There's a ton of things you can do there. For example, using your data to understand what do repeat purchasers buy most, or what's the product that drives people to your website more often than not. How do you use your data to figure out which of your customers are going to be your whales, even if they've only made one purchase? So there's all sorts of interesting things you can do there. That tends to be more in the world of, I would say, traditional AI or traditional business analytics. From the perspective of Gen AI, I really think that it's really good for you to unlock ideas for how do you implement new marketing or tactics or sales tactics that you can use to drive more. For example, if you're thinking about using video, for example, for driving more sales, but you're not a great video personality or you've never done it before, use ChatGPT to come up with a script for you, and then practice that script, and then take the transcript and then turn that into a blog post, and then turn that into a bunch of social media comments. Take ChatGPT's ability to be creative and implement that for your own business. Or if you're trying to figure out, we mentioned landing pages earlier, if you're trying to figure out what landing pages are going to perform best, use ChatGPT to come up with a structure. First, heading 1, heading 2, heading 3 for the different products that you're offering. It knows a lot about how to optimize pages. If you're trying to drive more, one thing a lot of people are trying to use it for now is performance marketing. So if you're struggling to come up with ad copy or figure out how you can implement a product in an ad, ChatGPT now, like you said, has the ability to analyze images and also generate images. So use that to come up with hyper optimized ads for each product. There's so many things you can do, but ultimately they all come down to you as the owner, the business owner, and the seller trying to understand where do you move the needle and how can you pull the levers that you have available to you. And that's not something that ChatGPT or most other tools will be able to figure out because it's so specific to your business. But there are commonalities that you can probably use it for, like the ones I just mentioned.
Okay, now I'm just looking at the time, and I've got a few other questions I want to ask, but I don't think we'll be able to stick in the time limit. Kelsey, do you want to talk about some of these questions that have come in?
Yeah, for sure. So we got a bunch of questions coming in from our viewers. First one is from Jet. He says, what are some of the best AI newsletters for ecom? And in general, how can you, being a software developer, can help me as an ecom seller, like in product research, if you can talk about that in depth. So I guess first off, do you have any resources that people can learn about using AI, and any newsletters or anything that you're keeping in the know of?
Yeah, there's one that immediately comes to mind. It's actually from a buddy of mine who used to run a company called Prehook, which was a company that allowed you to do quizzes for your ecom store.
I know
They recently
Prehook.
sold. Yeah, you might have met Ben. He's an awesome guy. He's running a newsletter now called supermarketers.ai, and so supermarketers, all one word, .ai, and he provides a ton of really good information on how do you implement AI for marketing. And because he came from the world of e-commerce, he will frequently give you ideas for how you can use it for e-commerce selling specifically. So that's the first one that comes to mind. Chase Diamond, who's also a legend in the world of e-commerce marketing, has started pivoting a lot into the world of AI. I believe he's got a newsletter. If not, then he's definitely on LinkedIn and Twitter. He posts, I think, 2 or 3 times a day. Chase Diamond, Dimond. He's absolutely worth a follow. Those are the 2 guys that come to mind right off the top of my head when it comes to e-commerce selling. I think I saw something else in there about, if you're a software developer, how do you use AI for e-commerce? I think that there's a few things here that are probably going to start coming to the forefront. Chatbots are going to be everywhere, but a chatbot that understands your inventory, understands your product, your value prop, I think is going to be a really interesting way for you to gather user feedback and then drive users to the products or the pages that make the most sense for them. These tools may exist right now in some rudimentary form, but I think that the advent of ChatGPT and its API are going to make things like that a lot easier. Quizzes, onboarding quizzes is something that I really have a lot of enthusiasm for. I think that the ability to create AI-driven quizzes or AI-driven onboarding questionnaires that can get more user data and then use that data in more personalized marketing campaigns or email campaigns is going to be really interesting. And so I guess what you're hearing me say is, from a software development perspective, the idea of creating tools that make it easier for users to give you data in exchange for you driving them to the features or products or value things that they want the most is really interesting to me. I don't remember the rest of the question, but hopefully that answers most of it.
Okay, very good.
Awesome. Okay, next one is from Neil. I've actually had this question too. But can you prompt ChatGPT or other AIs to always tell the truth? And if it doesn't know the answer, it must admit to you and not make something up.
You know what? The answer is no. So the way that most businesses handle this is a little bit different. Instead of saying to ChatGPT, hey, don't make things up, what you can do instead is say, here's a bunch of context that I want you to use to answer my question. If the answer to my question is not found in this context, say that you don't know or it's not found. But if you don't provide context and you just try to prompt ChatGPT to tell you something that it may or may not know, because of the way that these AIs have been trained and because of the ways that they've been programmed to respond to users, they don't know what they don't know. It's not like they're thinking. It's just that
Right.
they're sort of word prediction machines, and they can't tell you if it doesn't know something. More likely than not, it will try to make something up. So be careful about that.
Yeah, I know we had Saj Adabas. I think that's his last name. Saj, if you're listening, I'm sorry if I butcher names, Saj, but he was on and he talks about a prompt that he uses on a regular basis to help with to minimize the hallucinations, and that is to relate back. So he'll have a prompt that he'll create that just says relate back to X, and so it'll always be relating back to the prompt earlier on, so it'll keep it straight. And he says that works really well for him. Do you do that?
You know, most of the time, there's a few ways I'll use ChatGPT if I'm trying to search or get some factual information. I will ask it my question, and then I will double check what it says. And sometimes I'll call it out. I recently used ChatGPT to help me with some accounting and legal documentation, and it told me a few things, and I was like, "You mentioned this. Are you sure about that?" And it usually says, "Oh, I apologize. You're correct. This was incorrect." So one of the things I'll do is just reread it very carefully. The second thing that I do is, this is maybe more of a issue related to long form content. You may or may not have understood, sorry, to take a step back, ChatGPT and other LLMs have been trained in a certain way where they can only take in a certain amount of information. So if your message history gets really, really long, they're going to start forgetting things. So what I will do is I will remind it about something that we had discussed earlier in the conversation. If I'm asking it to write a section of a long form blog post, I'll give it the outline that it maybe created many messages ago. Or if I'm asking it to come up with some factual information, I'll copy what it said earlier and I say, referring back to this, please clarify your answer. And then I'll almost always go and verify things on Google, because unless it's really obvious, you can never really trust it. So there are ways to minimize hallucinations, but unless you're giving it context that you want it to use as like the golden set of truth, you can never trust it 100%.
Okay, next question.
Okay, this one is from Tuyen. Are there any plugins that will help summarize info from webinars, videos, and such?
Great question. I recently, it's not a plugin, but there are a few Chrome extensions I use where when I'm, for example, browsing YouTube, you can get the transcript and summary of any video that you're watching. So I'm actually bringing it up right now so I can get you guys the names, because they've helped me out quite a bit. Let's see here if I can find the names of those plugins. Of course, when I need it, plugins aren't coming, the tools aren't coming up on YouTube. But maybe what I can do is get it to you guys for the show notes later. But there are a couple of Chrome extensions where you can get transcripts. You just click a button and you copy the entire transcript of a YouTube video. That works really, really well. And then you can even summarize it as well. So those are some of the things I would look into, is Chrome extensions.
Now there is a Chrome extension, I believe, called Summarize Everything. And I believe it comes up and it does ChatGPT, Claude, Bard, and Bing. And you just click on each one and it'll summarize, because it's almost like reading a different newspaper. They all come in at they all have their own way of thinking. And the other apps that we use, and I find them to be pretty good, if you want to import anything into Pictory, that's one. you know what? I think I've been calling it Pictionary, and I realized that the other day I've been saying, oh no, I've been saying Pictionary. It's not a game. It's actually a really great app, Pictory, and there's Descript that's out there that can do the exact same thing, and you can do it with Fireflies as well. But Descript for sure is really great, and we use Pictory quite a bit. And all you have to do is just add the URL. It'll write the transcript, and then you can take it and actually write it in multiple languages.
It's pretty good. There's so many tools out there. As you
Oh,
were
there
talking,
is.
I also just looked up the name of the one I use. It's called GLASP, GLASP, and there's another one
Glasp.
called AI Summary. So there's just so many. YouTube transcript AI Summary is literally the name. So there's so many interesting things out there you could use.
I'm just writing that down.
All right, we just got a couple more. This one's from CoolHand99. Is there a ChatGPT plugin that can take a product photo and place it in a setting of choice? If not, what AI tool would you recommend to do that?
I haven't heard of a tool that does this specifically, at least not a plugin, but I follow this one person on Twitter who uses Midjourney to do something like this, where she can take your product photo and then put it on a table or in a background of your choosing, and it's actually really, really cool what she does. But she's not using a plugin on ChatGPT. She's a Midjourney specialist, so unfortunately, I don't have that off the top of my head. I will search right now. But Norm, do you know of any tools or plugins that can do this on ChatGPT?
Yeah, eComtent. So eComtent.ai does exactly that. And I think Max Sinclair is the guy who came up with it. I believe we have a discount. I think we have a discount, Kels.
Okay, I'll have to double check that.
Yeah.
And our last comments is from Howard. He says he's currently using an app called Maverick for personalized videos embedded in customer thank you emails and in-cart abandonment emails. He says it's very encouraging results and has had some great customer feedback from it. So you should check that out as well.
It's awesome. I'm a huge proponent of personalized videos. If you can do it at scale, which is one of the big blockers of the past few years, that's awesome. So I appreciate you mentioning that tool.
Yeah, there was an event I went to last weekend in San Diego. It was a Titan Network event. And there was a presentation that I missed. But somebody, like a lot of the people that were there were saying, oh, you missed your presentation. Ha ha ha. Well, the presenter went on and he did this with Kevin King. He did this with me. And it was, we're going to ask Norm the 6 things he likes to do with his beard. And I'm listening to it, and he sent me over the presentation. I'm listening to it, and I'm going, oh my God, this is me. This is me. He used 11 Labs to dupe my voice. And it was my voice, and we had never talked. He just went in, listened to a little bit of my my audio, pumped it into it, and it came up with these hilarious things, and it sounded like me. I caught with Kevin, there was just a glitch in the way that he would speak, and I thought, oh, okay, I would know that that's not Kevin. But with mine, I couldn't tell the difference.
These tools are so cool and also a little bit scary. Like, I would not want someone imitating me, but the world is moving so quickly here. It's fascinating.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so I think we'll get your how about we get your contact information, and then what we'll do is we'll go over to a sponsor, then to the wheel. And I'm just going to remind you, especially if this is your first time watching the podcast, we have a giveaway at the top of the hour, and you've got about 30 seconds before that window shuts out. But hashtag Wheel of Kelsey, tag 2 people, and you'll be able to enter for a 30-minute session. And why don't you talk about that session, by the way? It sounds great.
I appreciate that. A lot of businesses are trying to figure out how do they use AI to do things like create a personalized journey. For example, they might have a bunch of resources that they know if somebody reads these resources, they're going to go and make a purchase. Or they might have a whole bunch of one example, clinical trial data. If you're a medical company that you want to turn into your own LLM and start selling that to your maybe competitors. And so these are some of the types of projects that I help businesses think through, and then I'll actually go in and work with them to create the tools to do these things. Anything from as simple as using ChatGPT to rename some data, all the way up to creating your own LLMs that can go through and use your data to answer questions. And so the first step in all of these is to understand what you want to do. And, I've got several projects right now that I'm working on, so I'm not doing a ton of consulting calls, but this is basically the first step, is getting a sense for how you can implement AI for what you want to do. I can help you think about that and talk to you about how that could look on a 30-minute call.
Okay, very good. All right, Kels. So why don't we head over to a sponsor and we'll come right back.
This episode of Lunch with Norm is sponsored by VAA Philippines. Looking for a high-quality virtual assistant for your business? With the rigorous screening, intensive Amazon and Walmart training, and ongoing professional development, get the peace of mind with skilled and motivated virtual assistants for a long-term working relationship. Hire through VAA today, and now let's get back to the show.
Okay, before we get to the wheel, contact information.
I am always available on email, so it's just my first name, Shanif, at locusive.com, LOCUSIVE. You can check me out online. Locusive.com is the website. I'm on LinkedIn pretty heavily. Shanif Dhanani, DHANANI is my last name. So just, feel free to email me. That's probably the best way to get in touch. If I can help with anything, please let me know. I always love talking about this stuff.
Okay, very good. All right, it's time. Let's get to the wheel.
It's time for the Wheel of Kelsey.
All right. Got a good wheel
Okay.
today.
Yeah, we got a lot of entries. Thank you, everyone, for entering our Wheel of Kelsey. Let's see who the winner is. We do this every single episode. And it looks like there's our LinkedIn friend, Tien.
All right, congrats.
All right, so just message me. You can email me, kate@lunchwithnorm.com, and we'll connect you with the calendar link. And congrats again. And thank you, everyone, for entering.
Very cool.
All right, Shanif.
Looking forward to it.
There we go. You're off the hook. This was awesome. We're going to get you back on. We're going to talk more AI, and probably everything we know about AI is going to double or triple within the next few months. So
Yes.
I can't wait to have you back
It moves
on.
fast.
It moves fast.
That's awesome.
Too fast for an old guy. But let's. I'm going to remove you and put you backstage. I'll come back to you in just about a minute or two. But thank you so much for being part of the show today.
My pleasure. Thanks, Norm.
All right, everybody. I hope you like today's show. We're going to be doing a lot more AI every Wednesday. It's AI Wednesdays on Lunch with Norm, and we're doing this every Wednesday. Well, we're hoping to. Kelsey, anything to say?
All right. So again, congrats, Tien. She said, all right. Tien says, "Oh my God, this is crazy. I won. Thank you." So just make sure you email me, k@lunchwithnorm.com. And thank you, everyone, for watching today's episode. If you haven't yet, please give us a thumbs up. Subscribe to us on YouTube. We post all of our live streams a week later as more concise edited episodes as well. So you can check those out on YouTube and also podcasts. So Spotify, Apple Spotify, or Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. You can find us everywhere. And I think that's about it.
Okay, and I gotta say, I looked at the TikTok channel the other day, and you had pinned 2, and with the 2, you were over 1 million views, which it blows me away. So, congrats.
Thank you. Yeah, it's pretty crazy going into analytics and seeing that in the last 7 days I've got over 1 million views on the profile. So yeah, pretty happy with the TikTok, which is just reviewing Amazon deals, sharing Amazon deals to to customers. And if you want to follow me
Yeah.
for more, it's LWN Deals on TikTok. And yeah, you can check me out.
And I was wrong the other day, by the way. I thought we had poured ad dollars into those, and those are still organic. So
The one is with ad spend. The vacuum one, that's from they're gonna kill me. Influx Catalyst, Paul Barron's.
okay. Oh, I was checking with Hayden yesterday before I said, because I was talking to him about it. And I thought, how much is it? And he said, no, it didn't cost anything. And I went, what? So, okay, maybe I'm wrong. I'm probably right. You're probably wrong. But but anyways,
Oh,
a
then that's
million,
awesome.
a million
That's
views.
that's fantastic.
So yeah, and I really want to stress about consistency. No matter what you do in e-commerce or in life, you become an expert as long as you're consistent. Neil Patel always talks about that. Gary Vee talks about that. It's consistency. And what we've been showing is a constant upswing in our TikTok channel that really just started a few months back.
Yeah. And if you are interested in having your videos featured, you can email me k@lwndeals.com. I'm charging around $75 for a video, and I also do shoppable videos as well. So if you want to do like an unboxing featured video, just email me, and yeah, just let me know.
Okay, very good. All right, that's it. Okay, everybody, you can join us every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at noon Eastern Standard Time. I'll be back in the studio on Friday. And like I say at the end of every podcast, we could not do this without you. We've got an incredible community. And if you want to be part of that community, head over to our Facebook group, Lunch with Norm, the e-commerce and FBA collective. All right, that's it. We will see you on Friday. Have a good one.